There's no sound in cycling more eloquent than the silence left after an impossible attack. On the slopes of the Passo di Ganda, as the fog wrapped around the mountain and the crowd's shouts blurred into the wind, Remco Evenepoel realised he was pedalling against something that no longer seemed human. Tadej Pogacar, the Slovenian who has become the reference point of an entire era, attacked again with that mix of grace and cruelty that only geniuses possess. It wasn't a violent move, nor a defiant glare. It was just a change of rhythm that erased everything behind. Hope, strategy, illusion. And in that instant, Evenepoel received the hardest blow a champion can face, the realisation that Pogacar's superiority borders on abuse. Because the Belgian wasn't off form or unprepared. He was perfect. He had spent weeks sharpening his best version. But when the gradient hit 15%, when the air thickened and the UAE jersey turned into an unreachable mirage, everything collapsed. Remco pushed on, kept his own pace, avoided looking forward or back. But the void left by Pogacar felt like a chasm between two worlds, the mortals and Tadej. Crossing the finish line in second, exhausted, eyes lost between disappointment and acceptance, Evenepoel didn't need words. His expression said it all. He had given everything, and it wasn't enough. That's the cruelest truth for a rider built on precision and control. When you do everything right and still can't win, frustration becomes awe. Remco Evenepoel, double Olympic champion, world champion, the prodigy of discipline, had to admit it without saying it. Pogacar is on another level. What we saw at Il Lombardia 2025 wasn't just another win. It was dominance made flesh. Cycling reminded us once again that sometimes reality is so brutal it feels like fiction, and Pogacar, once again, was its author. Sometimes laughter is just pride refusing to cry. At the finish line in Bergamo, sweat still tracing the lines of effort, Remco Evenepoel dropped a line that made everyone laugh. "Maybe I should ask Pogacar to retire next year." He said it smiling, but the tone behind it wasn't just a joke. It was exhaustion. Because when the world's second-best rider jokes about asking the best to retire, he's not mocking. He's admitting helplessness. Remco had tried everything. San Sebastian, Tre Valli, now Il Lombardia. 3 weekends in a row crashing into the same wall, the same attack, the same feeling of futility. Pogacar dominates, and Evenepoel said it half joking, half confessing. The Slovenian superiority is so vast that even champions have started to accept it. Every interview shows Remco's composure, professionalism, respect, yet everyone senses the truth in that line. Pogacar doesn't race against others. He races against his own shadow. That smile from Remco hides the pain of being close, yet never enough. The thin border between ambition and reality. "My last month and a half has been great. I've done my best," he said later, almost reassuring himself. But when Pogacar's on the road, everything distorts. Rivals look smaller, efforts look weaker, records look fragile. Remco laughs, but every smile is the echo of that gap that no one can cross. His words went viral because they carry an uncomfortable truth. When the second-best cyclist in the world asks the first to retire at 26, it's no longer about rivalry. It's about living through an era defined by the magnitude of one man's brilliance. Behind every smile at the finish line lay a goodbye. Remco Evenepoel wasn't just ending a season, he was closing an era. 7 years of battles, growth and transformation with Soudal Quickstep, the team that watched him evolve from prodigy to leader, from boy to world-class champion. In Bergamo, while the spotlight shone on Pogacar, Remco was living his own private moment, one that can't be measured by podiums, but by emotion. It was his last race in blue, the end of his journey with the Wolfpack, that brotherhood that howled together in victory and endured every grey day as one. "I'm proud to have been this team's leader, proud of these 7 years. This is a journey I'll carry with me forever," he said, voice trembling, knowing that every pedal stroke meant closure. He gave everything, not just for the race, but for the farewell. He wanted to leave with dignity, and he did. Even Pogacar's dominance couldn't overshadow the humanity of the moment, because Remco didn't leave defeated, he left matured. He's learned that cycling also means losing with grace to the inevitable. His teammates embraced him, some in tears. Mattia Cataneo, Peter Seri, all of them knew they were closing a chapter of modern cycling. The Wolf Pack loses a leader but gains a legacy. Evenepoel's last ride, fighting to the end, embodied that spirit. As he rounded the final corner, the crowd cheered, knowing they were seeing not just a runner-up, but a man saying goodbye with pride. When you cross the line knowing you gave it all, even against a monster like Pogacar, defeat stops hurting. It becomes memory. And for Remco, that memory will never fade. Every ending carries the seed of a beginning. For Remco Evenepoel, the future now wears red and blue, the colours of Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. In his eyes after Bergamo's finish, beyond exhaustion, there was a spark. Relief, defiance, hope. It's time for a new start, he said, as if shedding the past with purpose. The change is monumental. Moving from Quick Step's methodical structure to Red Bull's high-tech, risk-taking world means transformation. It's a leap of faith fueled by ambition. Remco knows that to catch Pogacar, training harder won't be enough. He has to change everything. Mindset, environment, approach. Red Bull offers exactly that. Science, innovation, and a daring mentality. A place built for those who thrive beyond limits. New bikes, new data systems, new mental preparation programs. Evenepoel wants to reinvent himself entirely. I've learned more losing to Pogacar these last 3 races than I did in a year of winning, he admitted to Sporza. That's the mark of a champion who evolves instead of complains. Joining Red Bull Bora isn't just a career move, it's a rebirth. A new environment, new faces, but the same hunger. He refuses to live in anyone's shadow. I don't want to be the guy who follows him. I want to be the one who makes him suffer a little more every year, he said, half joking, half promising. That sentence defines him. Even when the climb seems impossible, true champions keep climbing. Evenepoel begins his new era, and the cycling world waits to see if this new chapter will finally bring balance to an era dominated by Pogacar. Some victories add to a record book, others define an era. Pogacar's triumph at Il Lombardia 2025 belongs to the latter. What happened on the roads of Bergamo wasn't just another win, it was proof that cycling today revolves around one man. Pogacar's greatness isn't measured by trophies anymore, but by the effect he has on others. His attack on Passo di Ganda wasn't strategy, it was a statement. He hasn't even reached his limit. And there's the paradox. While the world admires him, Evenepoel, the world's number 2, half jokes that maybe it's time for him to retire. He should retire already, he said laughing, hiding a truth that many feel but few admit. Because when the gap between first and second feels infinite, admiration becomes reflection. Pogacar doesn't just win, he transforms. He forces the sport to evolve, his rivals to reinvent themselves, his generation to dream higher. He's not humiliating anyone. He's inspiring them from an unreachable height. Cycling has seen dominant men before, Merckx, Hinault, Indurain, Froome, but Pogacar's dominance feels different, effortless, joyful, almost poetic. He attacks with no fear, rides with no arrogance, and smiles with no malice. That's what makes even his rivals admire him while suffering behind his wheel. That Evenepoel, after so many defeats, can still speak with respect and pride says everything. Pogacar's superiority isn't only physical, it's emotional. He makes everyone measure themselves by his shadow. And that's what defines a legend. Because true legends don't destroy their rivals, they make them dream bigger.